Hey, it's your old pal Tom here on the Tom Gulley Show. Let me tell you about Gunsmoke. I know most of you may be thinking, oh, Gunsmoke, the TV show. Yeah, it's on that channel that shows old TV shows. Or, if you're a little more observant, you might notice that nearly every streaming platform has a channel dedicated to Gunsmoke, the television show. And it runs 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. There's a good reason for it. There's quite a few episodes of Gunsmoke, the television show, but I'm going to tell you also about Gunsmoke, the radio program that predated the TV show, and many argue was even better than the television show that ran for 20 years. We'll get into all of it. Of course, this is our cold open that we do for our interactive YouTube viewers. If you're an audio podcast listener, we do this for you because we don't want you to just turn the show on and then there's 6 or 7 minutes worth of music that I'm about to play. We do that to give people time to get into the chat room and interact with us. And this time, I've got 2 Western songs to play in honor of Gunsmoke. The first one is called The Day Tom Gulley Shot Me Down. It's about a specific incident that happened online a while back. And if you're very observant, you can hear certain things said that might lead you to that horrible, horrible occasion when I was forced to verbally reprimand someone. And then the next one is a brand new song. It's called Tom Gulley's Wild Roundup. And in that song, you will hear references to shows we've done in the past. And of course, spiders, lots about spiders. Never thought that my show would be so heavily associated with spiders or that I would have so many listeners and viewers that were so excited about spiders. But you'll hear other shows referenced, and you'll even hear some of our very frequent and most popular guests in our chat room mentioned. Leon Kennedy's outdone himself again, and that song is crazy. So without further ado, let's get to that music. If you're an audio podcast listener, just fast forward through it if you don't like the music. And then let me tell you about Gunsmoke.
They said my name like it was wrong all through the sleeping town. They crossed the street when I came near the day Tom Gulley shot me down. They called me shaman out of spite, their brutal honesty. The sun would set with one man dead the day Tom Gulley murdered me. I drank alone in the backroom bar, the air was thick and brown. I heard him enter without a word the day Tom Gulley shot me down. He looked at me, face motionless, I couldn't let things be. No jury trial, no case to make the day Tom Gulley murdered me. He stepped outside, I followed him, no smile, no looking round. He stood there calm as winter stone the day Tom Gulley put me down. We stood there in the open street the town had come to see. No cheers were heard, no one deterred the day Tom Gulley finished me. Our hands lay low upon our guns, the townsfolk watched the ground. No word was said, no tears shed the day Tom Gulley put me down. I fired first, the shot went wide, it shattered glass on heat. One sound came back, it struck my chest the day Tom Gulley ended me. I lay there bleeding on the ground, death smiled a skull stained brown. To hell he led, the dirt dark red, the day Tom Gulley pinned me down. Tom stood there calm with smoking gun, no triumph came to be. No rush, no rage, no fire inside the day Tom Gulley ended me. He turned away and took the road before the sun came down. No farewell said, no looking back, the day Tom Gulley left this town. The paper said that Clay was dead, no one mourned for me. Just ink and dates, a folded sheet, the day Tom Gulley ended me. They laid me out below the hill beneath a deadened tree. No marker set, no prayer said, the day Tom Gulley buried me.
Well, the mic's warm, the clock's past 10. Tom Gulley's here, let the podcast begin. Bigfoot, he's got a map, red string all around. It's not real, says she can't be found. It's a show about spiders, he says, going live. 8 legs, 8 eyes, he got another surprise. Did you see their webs? All the shapes, don't you know? Slater's here for the ride, for the spiders to show. He checks his notes, he knows the audience there. Says he's putting on a show that he just doesn't care. One man, late night, telling tales of things you didn't know and things that never fail. Tom Gulley's Roundup, it's a wild, wild show. Yeah, the whole punch gravy and the Smother Brothers show. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about Jesse James? We've been planning this from the start. This one's about spiders, the real shows for the yard. Yeah! Now spiders again, he's got a pick for the show. This one's a camel spider, just watch him go. He doesn't spin webs, he's a fraud, don't you know? But the Black Widow, man, now she's not so slow. Rumble trench coat on speaker, his voice like coffee and gin.
Tom, you missed last night's Columbo, man, it's a sin. Columbo caught a spider inside a net. It had a glass eye, so we kept it as a pet.
Tom leans in and whispers, I think he's right. That spider's not just a pet, it's the truth in the night. The coffee's cold, the comments pile high. Is the wolf about to call? Yeah, there's no reason why. Tom Gulley's Roundup, it's a wild, wild show. Yeah, the whole punch gravy and the Smother Brothers show. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about Jesse James? Tom, stop, you've been planning this from the start.
This one's about spiders, the real shows for the art.
Yeah! Now the clock hits the hour, the show's almost done. Tom's got one last thought, says this should be fun. What if we did a show about lava lamps too? Robert Redford, Bob Ross, just to name a few. Christian Slater groans.
Tom, you're losing it.
Tom grins.
Losing it, I'm just getting lit.
On the things out there, hiding in plain sight, like cigar smoke and cobwebs furling through the night. Tom Gulley's Roundup, it's a wild, wild show. Yeah, the whole punch gravy and the Smother Brothers show. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about Jesse James? Tom, stop, you've been planning this from the start.
This one's about spiders, the real shows for the art.
Yeah! Yeah, it's Tom's Roundup, man, here we go. Yeah, Gunsmoke, Jello, and Jello, Grayson Jones. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line cracks crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about candy smoke? Tom, stop! You've been planning this from the start. This one's about spiders, the real shows for the yard. Yeah! Yeah, it's Tom's Roundup, man, here we go. Yeah, Gunsmoke, Jello, and Generation Joe. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about candy smoke? Tom, stop! You've been planning this from the start. This one's about spiders, the real shows for the yard. Yeah!
Hey everybody, what's going on? What's hot? What's hip? What's happening? What is shaking? Let me tell you about Gunsmoke, legendary TV show. Not as well known, but I think my favorite is the radio show. And I'm going to play you a little bit of that radio show once we get going here. Before we do, please do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. These are absolutely free things that you can do that only cost you a click. And they help our little show with the algorithm, the almighty, all-powerful, all-knowing algorithm. We also have the super chats. We have the memberships, the gifted memberships. And, of course, if you look in our YouTube description, the PayPal. We love the PayPal. That's where you give the most, I get the most, and Google don't get nothing. Not a cent. You can also, if you look in our YouTube description, there's a lot of other links there to cool, fun stuff. In addition, I think I've put the link to all of the Gunsmoke radio episodes on Internet Archive, and the link to the TomGulleyShow.com, where there's curated podcasts and our merchandise store. T-shirts, mugs, hats, shot glasses, you name it, it's all there. Let's get to our chat room very quickly. We are an interactive show. The chef is here. He's on the couch today. Some well-earned rest. Virgo is here. We haven't seen her in a long time, but we are always happy to see her. Ms. Ruby is here. She's waving to us. Great to see her. Also, CIA is here and is happy to remind me of the many foibles of my favorite sports team, the Arsenal Football Club. He says, it only saddens me when the real Gooner fans trust the process. I still don't trust the process. He says, it's the modern game, unfortunately, and if Arteta wins the league, he'll be considered a legend when all he'll normalize is mediocrity. I don't buy that. I've heard people saying that if Arsenal wins the championship, we'll be the worst champions ever. Isn't that like being the poorest billionaire? I don't think it's, I don't think that's a bad thing. They don't count how, they count how many. CIA. He says he donates in joy. We will take your joyful, joyous, joy-ridden donations. Take anything we can get around here. With that being said, let me tell you about Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke. Sorry, I've been listening to Gunsmoke on the radio for many, many years, and I've been listening to it quite a bit here the last few days. And I have all the Gunsmokes myself. I have a collection of 10,000 old-time radio shows. Not on the internet, on MP3s. So, Gunsmoke is an American radio and television program, a Western drama series created by director Norman Macdonald and writer John Meston. It's centered on Dodge City, Kansas in the 1870s during the settlement of the American West. The central character, of course, is Marshal Matt Dillon, played by William Conrad on radio and James Arness on television. The radio series ran from 1952 to 1961. Critic John Dunning wrote that among radio drama enthusiasts, quote, Gunsmoke is routinely placed among the best shows of any kind and any time. In 1955, the series was adapted for television, and it ran for 20 seasons. We'll get into all of it. All of it. In the late 1940s, legendary CBS chairman, William S. Paley, a fan of the Phil Marlowe radio series, asked his programming chief, Hubble Robinson, to develop a hardcore Western series about a Phil Marlowe of the Old West. And by the way, William S. Paley at the time was over the radio division. Television was in its very, very early stages, and radio ruled the media. So it was a big deal for the chairman to ask for a series like this. Well, he delegated this task to his West Coast CBS vice president, Harry Ackerman, who had actually developed the Phil Marlowe series. Ackerman and his scriptwriters created an audition script called Matt Dillon Goes to Gouge Eye, based on one of their Michael Shane radio scripts. The two versions of this particular script were recorded. The first, July 1945, was very much like a hardcore detective series and starred Michael Rye as Dillon. The second was recorded in July of 1949. Excuse me. There. It's all fixed now. And it was a more Western, lighter version of the same script. CBS liked the second version much better and told them to proceed, but a complication arose. When the actor's contract as the star of Straight Arrow would not allow him to do another Western series. So the project was suspended for 3 years when, oh, by the way, here's Harry Ackerman, the dude at the head of the whole thing. A friendly-looking guy, isn't he? Project is suspended for 3 years when producer Norman McDonnell and writer John Meston discovered it while creating an adult Western series of their own. McDonnell and Western wanted to create a radio Western for adults, in contrast to the sort of prevailing kids fare, like the Lone Ranger and the Cisco Kid. They wanted to call the show Jeff Spain, weirdly enough, after a character they had created and used in several of their anthology shows, but Ackerman had already coined the title Gunsmoke, and CBS badly wanted to use that particular title. So they set it in Dodge City, Kansas, during the thriving cattle days of the 1870s, and as critics noted, the show drew critical acclaim for unprecedented realism. And I gotta tell you, if you listen to these episodes, first of all, the sound effects, which were big on the radio anyway, are so much more ornate and present. Backgrounds of bars and streets and things. That's one distinguishing feature. And the other distinguishing feature is the scripts were very, very dramatic and violent. Very violent. Much more violent than the TV show would become. Well, the radio series first aired on CBS April 26th of 1952 with the episode Billy the Kid, written by Walter Newman, and the radio show ran from 1952 until 1961, 460 episodes. It starred the legendary, you know him as Canon, William Conrad, whose voice is incredible. You will hear it shortly, as Marshal Matt Dillon. Now, here's some things that you're not probably aware of. Anyone who's seen the Andy Griffith Show has probably seen Floyd the Barber. Well, there he is, Howard McNear. Yes, Andy. You know, that guy. Well, he played Doc Charles Adams. Georgia Ellis played Kitty Russell, and an extremely well-known character actor named Parley Bear played Matt Dillon's assistant, Chester Wesley Proudfoot. Matt Dillon on the radio, William Conrad. Oh, boy. Let me tell you. It's There's the entire cast. He was just so incredibly imposing. You'll hear him in just a second. I'm going to play the opening, and then I'm going to play you 5 minutes maybe of the ending of one of the episodes. When McDonnell and Meston both knew they were going to do this project, they also knew one other thing. They wanted William Conrad as their lead. But CBS objected to this, probably because of his already heavy presence in film and radio productions. William Conrad later said, I think when they started casting for it, somebody said, good Christ, let's not get Bill Conrad. We're up to you-know-where with Bill Conrad. So they auditioned everybody, and as a last resort, they called me. I went in and read about 2 lines, and the next day and called me and said, okay, you have the job. Matt Dillon, as portrayed by William Conrad, was a lonely, isolated man, toughened by a hard life. McDonnell later claimed much of Matt Dillon's character grew right out of Bill Conrad. He continued, he became a rustic, rugged Western marshal. There are times, in fact, you can't tell where Matt Dillon begins and Bill Conrad ends. Critics write that Meston was especially disgusted by the archetypical Western hero and set out to destroy that type of character he loathed. In Meston's view, Dillon was almost as scared of the homicidal psychopaths who drifted into Dodge from all directions. McDonnell shared similar sentiments about the Marshal, calling him a lonely, sad, tragic man, a quiet, unhappy, confused Marshal. These days, we'd send him to an analyst. Howard McNear, as I mentioned, starred as Dr. Charles Adams in the radio series, and Milburn Stone portrayed Dr. Galen Adams in the television version. In the radio series, Doc Adams was initially self-interested and a somewhat dark character with a predilection for constantly attempting to increase his revenue through the procurement of autopsy fees. In the opening episode, he was delighted when he found out that Dillon had killed someone in a gunfight, meaning more business for him, which was enough for the Marshal to threaten to knock him down, which was frequent on Gunsmoke. Matt Dillon knocked a lot of people down. He was acerbic, somewhat mercenary, a borderline alcoholic, and a lot of other things in the early years. His real name was Dr. Calvin Moore. He came west and changed his name to escape a charge of murder. However, McNear's performances steadily became more warm-hearted and sympathetic. Doc wandered through the territories until he settled in Dodge City 17 years later under the name of Charles Adams. William Conrad suggested that Doc borrow his name from cartoonist Charles Adams as a testament to Doc's initially ghoulish comportment. Milburn Stone was given free rein to choose the character's first name, and he chose the name of the ancient Greek and medical researcher Galen. Miss Kitty was Georgia Ellis on the radio. Ellis first appeared in Billy the Kid, the very, very, very first episode, as Francie Richards, a former girlfriend of Matt Dillon's and widow of a criminal, but the character of Miss Kitty did not appear until the May 10th, 1952 episode, Jalisco. In the radio series, Kitty's profession was hinted at, but never explicit. In a 1953 interview with Time magazine, McDonnell declared, Kitty is just someone Matt has to visit every once in a while, explicitly sharing her secret. We never say it, but Kitty is a prostitute, plain and simple. The magazine later observed that she's obviously not selling chocolate bars. And that's another thing about Gunsmoke, and I know most of you probably haven't listened to the radio series, certainly not as much as I have. But on the television show even, Kitty's running that Longhorn Saloon, and she's got girls in there working for her, and sometimes they're going up the stairs, sometimes they're coming down the stairs, but never do they just flat out come out and say it. They're exchanging physical relations for cash on that show like crazy. Dillon and Kitty clearly have a close personal relationship. In a 1976 radio documentary of the program, Ellis said, "Yes, they were lovers, the best kind, because they really, truly understood one another, so there wasn't need for too much talk." She further said what Kitty really wanted out of the relationship, saying that undoubtedly she had wild dreams from time to time that she realized were completely unrealistic of Matt and Kitty, but she was resigned to serving booze and saying, "Matt, be careful." Chester was played by Parley Bear, and you will see him in just dozens of movies and TV shows. Like Doc Adams, Chester was present from the first episode of the show, initially designated as simply Townsman in the script. William Conrad wanted the character to have a proper name, stating that they should call him Chester or something. Parley Bear would later go on to give him a full name, ad-libbing in a later episode, "Well, as sure as my name is Chester Wesley Proudfoot." Chester served as Marshal Dillon's deputy in Dodge City and was always a dependable presence for him to rely on when he needed backup. Parley Bear posited that Dillon trusted Chester and Doc as much as he dared trust anyone. He knew that if he needed someone to stand in his back, Chester would be there, but he wasn't sure that Chester would function at all times. And Bear disagreed with a critic who saw Chester as a dim-witted town loafer, preferring to describe him as a dependable non-thinker. As the show progressed, the relationship between Matt Dillon and Chester Proudfoot grew, from a quiet tolerance to trusting bond. In one episode, Chester saved the marshal's life, but refused to let him discuss it in town, as it would only be embarrassing to us both. As opposed to all the other Westerns, like The Lone Ranger, Gunsmoke is an often somber program, particularly in its early years. John Dunning writes that Dillon played his hand and often lost. He arrived too late to prevent a lynching. He amputated a dying man's leg and lost the patient anyway. He saved a girl from brutal rapists, then found himself unable to offer her what she needed to stop her from moving into life as a lady of the evening. Some listeners argue the radio version was more realistic. I'm one of those people. Episodes were aimed at adults with some of the most explicit content of their time, adding violent crimes, scalpings, massacres, and opium addicts. Many episodes end on a somber note, and villains often get away with their crimes. The program was set after the arrival of a railroad in Dodge City, and Kansas had been a state since 1861. In reality, a U.S. Marshal, actually a deputy marshal because only the senior officer in the district holds the title marshal, would not be based in Dodge City and would not be involved in local law enforcement. So this show took a little bit of a liberty here and there. Apart from its doleful tone, Gunsmoke is distinct from other radio westerns as the dialogue is often slow and halting, and the outstanding sound effects give a palpable sense of the prairie setting. The effects are subtle, but they're multi-layered, giving the show a spacious feel. John Dunning wrote, "The listener heard extraneous dialogue in the background just above the muted shouts of kids playing in an alley. He heard noises from the next block, too, where the inevitable dog was barking." Gunsmoke is also unique from other westerns in that it was completely unsponsored in the first few years of production, instead being funded directly by CBS for its first 2 years. Series producers said that if the show were sponsored, they'd have to clean the show up. And McDonald quipped that Kitty would have to be living with her parents or on a sweet little ranch, And Matt, he'd have to wear buckskin and swagger around with his guns blazing. He'd even have to ride a pure white Charger. He further went on to state, however, that if a sponsor did come along who would let us leave Gunsmoke as it is, then we'd be really pleased. And Gunsmoke, I'm going to learn to talk in 2026. By the way, tomorrow night, huge guest, Hal Eisner, legendary Los Angeles newsman. He'll be here, and when you listen tomorrow night, you will be listening to over 100 years of broadcasting experience, his combined with mine. Anyway, Gunsmoke eventually received its sponsor, L&M cigarettes, in 1954. They later dropped full sponsorship of the program in 1957 at a time that network radio as a whole was struggling, which led CBS to shop around for a new sponsor. And with that being said, I want to play two things for you from the actual show, Gunsmoke. The first thing I am going to play is going to be just the opening. An incredible opening, one of the very best, in my opinion, in the history of anything. I love this opening. And so here, without further ado, is the opening of an episode of the radio version of Gunsmoke.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of gun smoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad, the story of the violence that moved west with young America, and the story of a man who moved with it.
I'm that man, Dillon, United States Marshal. The first man they look for and the last they want to meet. It's a chancy job, and it makes a man watchful and a little lonely.
Okay, there's the opening. Now, I'm going to play you a little bit of this episode. I'm not going to play the whole thing. The episodes are about 22 minutes long without commercials. But in this particular episode, an evil, evil gunslinger has come to town named Rasp. And there's an old man that's in town that has been telling stories of his younger days when he was a gunslinger himself. Now, most of the people in town don't really believe him. They humor him. Oh, he's just an old man. Let him tell his stories. Matt Dillon, though, he doesn't think those are just stories. And so, without further ado, here's a little bit of the drama of Gunsmoke.
It'd really be a shame. He wasn't doing any harm, telling his stories. And the kids seemed to like him.
Yeah, but Rasp didn't.
That grass hiller. He's always been a bully.
Sound like I hear my name mentioned around here.
You did, Rasp, and I'm glad to repeat what I said. I called you a bully.
Well, now, that ain't real ladylike, Miss Kitty. Is it, Marshal?
Why don't you move along, Rasp?
I keep forgetting you're the big marshal taking care of the ladies and the old men around town.
I have an idea that one particular old man can take care of himself.
Oh, you've been listening to too many of his stories.
I'm not so sure they're just stories.
What do you mean?
I saw a pair of horse pistols in his room last night. They looked like they'd had a lot of
Well,
work.
that old coot don't wear no gun.
He's wearing one now.
Old Charlie?
I wouldn't get in his way if I were you.
You mean that old geezer might draw on me? No. You've been took in by his talk.
I'm just telling you to be careful.
He's not going to forget what you did to him last night.
All right, Marshal. I'll play along. I'll tell you one thing. That old man better not start nothing. I wear my guns all the time.
So do I, Rasp.
Well, you ain't scaring me none, Marshal. I'll be around.
So will I, Rasp.
So long, Miss Kitty.
Really think there's going to be trouble, Matt?
I don't know, Kitty. Old Charlie was pretty upset.
Well, you got to stop it. Don't let him put on those guns and march around till he gets himself killed.
I can't take him away from him, Kitty.
Why can't you?
Because he hasn't done anything.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. You have to sit and wait until something happens. Till somebody gets killed before you can do anything.
Oh, Kitty.
Why don't you just go stop this thing now, before someone gets hurt?
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Oh, Matt.
Huh? Oh, hello, Doc.
Yeah, where you bound for?
Yeah, I'm going over to the telegraph office.
Oh, well, I'll walk along with you.
All right. I've been waiting for a wire from Washington. About time it came in.
Not taking your badge away, are they?
On days like this, they're welcome to it. Ah, hello, Ed. You got something for me?
Well, now, that's a funny thing, Marshal. Something just did come in. I was going to bring it up as soon as I had my dinner.
Yeah?
Yeah, here you are.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Well, see you later, Ed.
Sure, Marshal. You don't look too happy about what's in that wire, man.
This wire isn't really good news, Doc. It's something I've been expecting.
Cut your salary, did they?
No, I wish it was that simple.
What's our hurry? Where are we going?
I want to find old Charlie and take his guns off of him.
You mean that wire was about old Charlie?
Yeah, I'd ask a couple of questions. You better stick with me, Doc. You may be needed.
Yeah, sure. Dillon? Mr. Dillon?
Yeah, Chester, I'm on my way.
Dillon? It's Rasp and old Charlie.
Yeah, the wire was too late.
What's that?
Never mind. You look at Charlie over there, Doc.
I'm pretty sure Rasp's dead, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, he's dead.
That old man just stood there as cool as could be. Let Rasp draw first.
Uh-huh.
And he shot him down with one of them old pistols.
I'm not surprised. Let's go see him. How is he, Doc?
He's not good, man. He's not good at all.
Marshal,
Yeah, Charlie.
I ain't gonna make it.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, I don't care about that. It's past time for me to settle. But, Marshal...
Yeah, I'm right here, Charlie.
I want you to know I wasn't making up them stories.
I know you weren't.
I wasn't making no brags or no bluffs. I did stand with Rio Joe.
Yeah, I know.
I could shoot too. I could shoot as good as he could. I could draw as fast as Rio Joe.
Yeah, Charlie, you could.
You believe me, Marshal?
Yeah, I believe you.
I figure maybe you kind of know the whole thing.
Yeah, I do. I guessed it, Rio.
Sure. Tell the others for me. Tell them I weren't no fake.
He's gone, man.
Yeah.
Mr. Dillon, just a minute ago, what was that you called him?
Rio, Chester.
Old Charlie was Rio?
Hmm.
Oh, that's just terrible. Dying like that? Nobody knowing who you are?
I don't know, Chester. I have a hunch Rio'd like it just this way. I'd have had to arrest him otherwise. Rio's been a wanted man for 20 years.
And that's Gunsmoke on the radio. Hope you enjoyed it. Let's get to some of your chats that I see have been accumulating here in the chat room, as they will. Let's just see here. Leon Kennedy says, I can't donate because I have no money. Leon Kennedy, you donate so much in terms of the music for this show. We wouldn't take a penny. I think you gave us some money one time, and we feel bad for taking it, but don't try that again, Rio. Anyway, Ryan says, Miss Kitty, Marshal Dillon, Festus. Well, that's Chester. Much like the TV version, Festus wasn't there at the beginning anyway. Festus is a television-only character. Ms. Ruby said, I was a kid growing up on a military base in Germany. I don't have many memories of Gunsmoke. Well, you're in luck, Miss Ruby, because you can go to any of the streaming platforms, and there are, all of them have the Gunsmoke channel that runs nonstop. It's on 24 hours a day. And then there's the link if you want the radio version. The link is in the description of our show today. So there you go. There you go. And that's just one example of Gunsmoke. Really great stories on the radio. Lots of violence, lots of people getting shot, lots of people getting beat up, lots of terrible crimes going on. And I mean terrible. Here's the actual Long Branch Saloon, though, that Miss Kitty ran. I don't see no dancing girls in there. Anyway, not long after the radio show began, talk began of adapting it to television. Privately, McDonnell had a guarded interest in taking the show to television, but publicly, he declared, our show is perfect for radio. And he feared, as one critic writes, Gunsmoke, confined by a picture, could not possibly be as authentic or attentive to detail. In the end, CBS simply took it away from McDonnell and began preparing for the television version. When Gunsmoke was adapted for television in 1955, contrary to a campaign to persuade the network was not interested in bringing either Conrad or his radio co-stars to the television medium. As a matter of fact, the radio cast took this picture and many others like it to show that they would be great for the TV series. They were given auditions, but those were token efforts, especially in Conrad's case, due to the fact that William Conrad was a very, very heavy man. However, Meston was kept as the main writer. In the early years, most of the television episodes were adapted from the actual radio scripts, often using identical scenes and dialogue. John Dunning wrote, the radio fans considered the TV show a sham and its players imposters, and that should surprise no one. the TV show was not a sham is due in no small part to the continued strength of John Meston's scripts. Now, in casting the most important role, Marshal Matt Dillon, Denver Pyle, who was Uncle Jesse in The Dukes of Hazzard, he was considered for the role, as was, yes, he would become Perry Mason, Raymond Burr. But Raymond Burr was also seen as being too heavy for the part. Charles Warren, the television Gunsmoke's first director, said his voice was fine, but he was too big. When he stood up, his chair stood with him. And it has long been rumored that John Wayne, yes, John Wayne was offered the role of Matt Dillon. According to Dennis Weaver's comments on the 50th anniversary DVD, John Wayne was never even considered for the role. To have done so would have been preposterous, since John Wayne at the time was a very top movie leading man. The belief that John Wayne was asked to star is disputed by other people, although it's universally recognized that John Wayne encouraged James Arness, who became Matt Dillon on TV, to take the role. And that early director said, I hired Jim Arness on the strength of a picture he's done for me. I never thought for a moment of offering it to John Wayne. According to Thomas Duke Miller, a television and movie celebrity expert, there's a story that was told to him by legendary actor Jimmy Stewart. Jimmy said he was in the office with Charles Warren when Mr. Wayne came in. Mr. Warren asked Wayne if he knew James Arness, and John Wayne said yes. Mr. Warren told John Wayne about the transition of the show from radio to television, and John Wayne readily agreed that James Arness would be a terrific choice for the part of Matt Dillon. I have no reason to doubt the story because Jimmy Stewart knew absolutely everybody. In the end, all of the primary roles were recast, with James Arness as Marshal Matt Dillon on the recommendation of John Wayne. And John Wayne introduced the pilot episode of Gunsmoke, which was huge at the time. The biggest movie star in the world introduces the pilot episode of your television show. Dennis Weaver, who later became McLeod, you see him here with Mariette Hartley, he was Chester Good, and Milburn Stone is seen here with Festus, was Doc Adams. Amanda Blake here with Jack Albertson would play Miss Kitty. McDonnell became the associate producer of the television show and later the producer, and Meston was the head writer. William Conrad directed 2 television episodes, and Howard McNear, the guy that had been Doc Adams on the radio version, and Floyd the Barber, yes, from the Andy Griffith Show, he appeared on 6 episodes of Gunsmoke, playing characters other than Doc, including 3 times as storekeeper Howard Rudd. McDonnell and Meston continued the radio version of Gunsmoke until 1961, making it one of the most enduring vintage radio dramas. And by the way, on the radio, it was relatively easy to have various actors play various roles from episode to episode. It was not uncommon. Our good friend John Daner was on Gunsmoke almost constantly, playing various people because he was such a great voice actor. On television, however, it was a little different, but those old Western TV shows would have people come back for various episodes playing different characters all the time. Now, the television series ran, get this is really amazing. The television series ran from September 10th, 1955 to March 31st, 1975 on CBS. 635 total episodes. It was the second television series written for adults. The first 12 seasons aired Saturday at 10 p.m. Seasons 13 through 16 aired on Mondays at 7:30 p.m. and the last 4 seasons on Monday at 8 p.m. During its second season in 1956, the TV show joined the list of top 10 television programs broadcast in the United States, and it quickly moved to number 1, and it would stay there until 1961. It also was set in Dodge City, Kansas, following the American Civil War, and it followed the lives of all the people we've mentioned, his deputies, Chester Good, and later Festus Hagen.
Marshal Dillon. Well, now, I don't see how we're supposed to get to Dodge on a mule.
That guy, yeah. Doc Adams, Miss Kitty. Most episodes involved disruptions caused by those arriving from outside Dodge City. And since he's a U.S. Marshal, Matt Dillon's authority extended way beyond town. Some of his episodes focus on his travels, while others have plots revolving around mishaps occurring while Marshal Dillon is gone. Both deputies are shown to be loyal, but often inept or indecisive at handling problems when Matt's not around. Although Matt Dillon and Miss Kitty are never portrayed in a romantic relationship, it's apparent they care deeply for each other. Doc Adams is portrayed as a very competent and caring physician, but his conservative treatment methods often frustrate his patients who expect a quick recovery. And Doc and both of the deputies are frequently used as comic relief throughout the series. Very, very frequent. Chester and Festus are Dillon's sidekicks, although others became acting deputies, sort of in an informal manner throughout the series. Quint Asper, played by Burt Reynolds, who you see in this photo, was on the show for, I think, 3 years before he went off to the movies. Thad Greenwood and Newly O'Brien served as backup deputy and doctor in training. Initially on the fringes of Dodge City, Festus Hagen, everybody loves Festus, was slowly phased in as a reliable sidekick and part-time deputy to Matt Dillon when Quint, Burt Reynolds, left in 1965. When Milburn Stone temporarily left for heart bypass surgery in 1971, Pat Hingle played the doc for several episodes, and there were certain characters. Sam Noonan, played by Burt Rumsey, was the bartender, and then Sam was also portrayed for many, many years by Glenn Strange. Jim Buck was a stagehand driver. We mentioned Burt Reynolds. So there were characters outside the main core of actors that were recurring townspeople, don't you know? Yes. And I've got a little treat for you here. I've got some Festus-isms. Yes, these are Festus-isms. And I'm going to try to do Festus here as I convert Festus talk into regular people's speech. By the way, like, share, subscribe, retweet, notification bell. Help us grow the show a little something for the effort. And we're not adverse to super chats, memberships, and all that stuff as well. when Festus would say, well, she's a mighty looksome woman, Matt. Looksome means handsome. Don't be getting squeamy on me, Doc. Squeamy means overly sensitive. Oh, I was out there. He had a passel of them corn cobs out there. A passel is a lot. A poke is a bag, obviously. He had it in his poke. Grump head, Doc's grump head. That means you're ill-tempered. I gave him a bent ear. That meant he was, gonna listen. Why don't I just pooch up a couple of them pillows, Miss Kitty? Pooch means to puff up. Womp means to hit. He's got a slippery gee jaw. That means lying. Goozler, I'd like to get a few of them down my goozler. That means your throat. Palatsome means delicious. There's a pot of brewing. That means trouble. Howdin means introducing. There's a twisty coming. That means a tornado. Featherfoot is a sneak. Slackjaw means talking. Tater trap is a mouse. Quack quack means a doctor. Amble, walk. That's not so bad. Oh, she's soulsome. That means spiritual. Glom, just glom off of my. That means grab. Womble water. That's wobble water. Sorry, wobble water means whiskey. And complicated. Complicated is Festus's way of saying complicated, of course. Yes. Television series was filmed at the present site of California Lutheran University in nearby Wildwood Regional Park in Thousand Oaks, California. The music, the Gunsmoke radio theme song and later television theme, is titled Old Trails, also known as Boot Hill. The Gunsmoke theme was composed by Rex Corey. The original radio version was conducted by Corey. The television version was thought to have been first conducted by West Coast music director Lud Gluskin. Can't make a name like that up. The lyrics of the theme never aired on the radio or television show, were recorded and released by Tex Ritter, legendary cowboy star, and the father of John Ritter from Three's Company. Other notable composers from the show: Elmer Bernstein. Elmer Bernstein. This guy has composed some of the most memorable music from the history of the movies. I'm telling you, The Man with the Golden Arm, The 10 Commandments, The Magnificent Seven, To Kill a Mockingbird, The Great Escape, True Grit. Are you kidding me? Animal House, Meatballs, Stripes, The Blues Brothers, Trading Places, Ghostbusters, Spies Like Us, The Three Amigos, all Elmer Bernstein. Another guy, Jerry Goldsmith. Jerry Goldsmith, you've heard his music everywhere as well. Nominated for 18 Academy Awards, 6 Grammy Awards, 5 Emmy Awards, 9 Golden Globe Awards. He composed scores for 5 films in the Star Trek franchise, 3 in the Rambo franchise, Logan's Run, Planet of the Apes, Tora Tora Tora, Patton, Chinatown, The Omen, Alien, Poltergeist, Gremlins, Hoosiers, Total Recall, Basic Instinct, Air Force One, L.A. Confidential, Rudy. Come on. He was a frequent composer on the television version of Gunsmoke. And then there's Bernard Herrmann. These guys, you can't even begin to talk about the Academy Awards and things they won. He won for The Devil and Daniel Webster, the Academy Award. He did a lot of collaborations with Alfred Hitchcock. He did The Man Who Knew Too Much. He did Vertigo. He did North by Northwest. He did Psycho, the famous ring, 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 ring. That was Bernard Herrmann. The Birds, Marnie, but he did other movies too. The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, The Day the Earth Stood Still, Cape Fear, Fahrenheit 451. It never stops. And these were the people composing the music for the TV version of Gunsmoke. From 1955 to 1961, Gunsmoke was a half-hour television show, retitled Marshal Dillon in syndication, and then it went to an hour format. In the UK, they called the series Gun Law. In 1975, CBS made the decision not to renew Gunsmoke for a 21st season without making any public announcement or informing the producers or the cast as to what was going on. Just, you're canceled. According to James Arness, we didn't do a final wrap-up show. We finished the 20th year. We all expected to go on for another season or 2 or 3. The network never told anybody they were thinking of canceling. So the cast and crew read the news in the trade papers. The show's been syndicated since it was first on the air. Those half-hour versions were run in syndication. The half-hour versions ended being syndicated in the 80s, but not long after that. TV Land and the Hallmark Channel aired some of them under the Marshal Dillon title after a while. MeTV announced that they would begin the black and white episodes in 2017. For 5 years, there were 1-hour black and white episodes, and those haven't been seen in regular syndication since the 1980s. But in 1966 to 1975, 1-hour color episodes for the last 9 seasons aired. And the program currently airs on 4 major venues: TV Land, which has had Gunsmoke since they began in 1996, INSP, Weagle Broadcasting, which has MeTV and West. Individual stations like KFWD in Dallas also carry the series, and it's been shown all over the world. There's several box sets that are available, but for those people who, can't get enough of Gunsmoke, well, we were all in great luck. All in great luck. By the way, Gunsmoke was ranked television's #1 show from 1957 to 1961. Then it expanded to an hour, and actually that hurt the ratings. CBS was going to cancel the series in 1967 after a 12th season, but widespread viewer reaction prevented this, including a mention in Congress and pressure from a woman named Babe Paley. That's right, the wife of CBS's longtime president, William S. Paley, who started the whole thing. Gilligan's Island producer Sherwood Schwartz states that Babe pressured her husband not to cancel Gunsmoke in 1967, so the network cut Gilligan's Island instead. The show continued in its new time slot at 8 p.m. on Mondays, and that scheduling move led to a spike in ratings that had it once again in the top 10 in the Nielsen ratings, which saved the series when CBS purged most of its rural content in 1971. And by the way, we are going to do a show on what they called the rural purge in 1971. The series remained in the top 10 until the 1973-74 season. After its last original airing on March 31st, 1975, Gunsmoke was canceled after that 20-year run. Even though it's still ranked among the top 30 programs in the rating, the Mary Tyler spinoffs Rhoda, which was going into its 2nd season, and Phyllis took its place. 30 television westerns came and went during its 20-year tenure. Gunsmoke was the sole survivor. The accolades for this show are just through the roof. Through the roof. Constantly nominated for Emmys. Won Best Dramatic Series with Continuing Characters in 1958. Won Best Editing in 1958. Won Best Supporting Actor for Dennis Weaver in 1959. Won for Outstanding Performance by a Supporting Actor for Milburn Stone as Doc Adams in 1968. Won for Outstanding Achievement in Sound Film Editing in 1970. Oh, it goes on from there. In TV Guide's April 17th, 1993 issue, celebrating 40 years of television, the all-time best TV programs were chosen. No contest, Gunsmoke was the TV Western. Entertainment Weekly ranked the premiere of Gunsmoke as number 47 in the 100 Greatest Moments in Television. They also ranked Gunsmoke as number 16 in the 100 Greatest TV Shows of All Time. In 1998, TV Guide ranked Gunsmoke as CBS's Best Western, and James Arness was ranked as CBS's Best Gunslinger. In 1997, the episode The Jailer was ranked number 28 on TV Guide's 100 Greatest Episodes of All Time. The Writers Guild of America in 2013 ranked Gunsmoke in their 101 Best Written TV Series. In 2019, the radio episode The Cabin. Oh, is that a good episode? I could play that whole episode for you right now. We get a big enough, super chat, and I might just. The Cabin was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the National Recording Registry for being culturally, historically, or aesthetically different. And good luck for all of us, because in 1987, 12 years after the series ended, CBS commissioned a reunion movie titled Gunsmoke, Return to Dodge. James Arness and Amanda Blake returned as Matt and Miss Kitty. Buck Taylor returned as Newly O'Brien. Doc Adams and Festus Hagen were not featured in the film. Milburn Stone had died 7 years earlier in 1980, and the role of Doc was never recast. Ken Curtis balked at the salary offer he received and said he should be paid based on Festus's importance in the character hierarchy. The screenwriters responded to Curtis's absence by making Newly the new Dodge City Marshal. It was shot in Alberta and features a now retired Marshal Dillon being attacked, an vengeful former rival returning to Dodge City to entrap him. In 1990, a second movie for TV, Gunsmoke, The Last Apache, premiered. By the way, I have all of these on DVD. Because Amanda Blake had died the year before, the writers revisited a 1973 episode for the movie. The episode was based on the Matt's Love Story episode. In the episode, Matt loses his memory and his heart during a brief liaison with Mike, in quotation marks, Lardner, played by Michael Learned, better known for playing Olivia on The Waltons. In the film, Learned returns as Mike, who reveals to Marshal Dillon that he is the father of their daughter from that previous episode. Other films included Gunsmoke to the Last Man in 1992, Gunsmoke The Long Ride in 1993, very popular, these movies, and Gunsmoke One Man's Justice in 1994. James Arness starring in all of them. Gunsmoke was the longest-running primetime live-action television series of all time at 20 seasons until Law & Order overtook it in September of 2019. It had the highest number of scripted episodes for any American primetime commercial television series till April of 2018, when it was surpassed by The Simpsons. James Arness and Milburn Stone portrayed their Gunsmoke characters for 20 consecutive years. A feat later matched by Kelsey Grammer as the character Frasier, but he did that over 2 sitcoms. And then characters from Law & Order took that over. Dodge City's Boot Hill Museum has a tribute to Gunsmoke, including set furniture from the 1960s and an old television tuned to the show. Signed photographs from the show's actors and other memorabilia are on display, including a vest worn by Sam the bartender and a dress worn by Miss Kitty. In 2015, several of the surviving staff reunited at Wild West Fest in Dodge City, including Burt Reynolds, Buck Taylor, Jess Walton. Oh boy, I loves me some Jess Walton. Bruce Boxleitner and writer Jim Burns. James Arness, Milburn Stone, Ken Curtis, Dennis Weaver, and Amanda Blake are all inductees of the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum. A fight scene between James Arness and guest star John Anderson from the 1958 episode Buffalo Man appears in the educational film Film Editing, Interpretation and Value, produced by American Cinema Editors. And the footage from that scene is used in editing classes in many film schools in the United States. The Gunsmoke brand was used to endorse numerous products, including cottage cheese and cigarettes. The Heartland Toy Company included an 8-inch plastic Matt Dillon figure and his horse Old Faithful Buck in their line of famous TV cowboys and horses during the 1950s. There were, a ton of comics that were done for Gunsmoke. Dell Comics, Gold Key Comics, a comic strip version of the series ran in British newspapers for several years under the show's UK title, Gun Law. There's a collection of short stories produced by Ballantine Books. Whitman Books published several Boulevard books, a series of novels based on the television series written by Joseph A. West with forewords by James Arness were published by Signet. Oh, there's too many to list. Gunsmoke, Blood Buckets and Busket. I don't know why I can't talk this year, folks. I will be speaking properly tomorrow for our guest, Hal Eisner. But Gunsmoke, The Last Dog Show. Anybody want to take the wheel here? Anybody? Gunsmoke, The Last Dog Soldier, Gunsmoke, Blizzard of Lead, Gunsmoke, The Restless Gun, Gunsmoke. There's 10 books here. On February 12, 1993, the late country music artist Toby Keith released his debut single, Should Have Been a Cowboy. The first verse of the song references the main characters of Gunsmoke. There you go. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all I can tell you at this time about the television show Gunsmoke. Let's see, I think we have a passel of comments in our chat room. Leon Kennedy says, I love Jimmy Stewart. The chef says, James Stewart is the man. Leon Kennedy says, I'm going to have to make a Gunsmoke song. Well, you do whatever you want. I'm never, ever going to give any instruction of any kind to Leon Kennedy on these songs. It's never going to happen. Ever. And I'm very excited to play I'm Still On for our special guest tomorrow, Hal Eisner, 58 years in broadcasting and a mainstay of Los Angeles news for decades. He's covered every big story. You name it, he was there. And we're going to be talking to him on the show tomorrow. I'm still on, just as appropriate, perhaps more for him than for me. And that's all I got, ladies and gents. Oh, coming up on the show this week, on Monday, as I mentioned, Hal Eisner. It's going to be such an honor to speak with him. Tuesday, we will have the Apollo 1 disaster, where 3 U.S. astronauts lost their lives. Tragic. Wednesday, big episode. You're going to have to buckle in for that one. We're going to do Frank Sinatra. It may take a couple hours. Thursday, the unsolved murder of Jennifer Servo. Saturday of next week, we will cover the Hays Code before movie ratings. The thing that governed content in the movies was called the Hays Code, and we'll have examples for you. And then a week from today, next Sunday, we will cover the hippest, grooviest TV show of all time, Hullabaloo. Hullabaloo. Hullabaloo was all the hits of the day, but with actual rock stars doing them. Yes. Chef says, once again, great show, Tom. Everybody say, good afternoon, Gracie. Good afternoon, Gracie. Chef, I showed all those delicious things that you sent me. I think that one was a welly, right? It was a beef Wellington. At the Skyline Club in Indianapolis. When in Indianapolis, visit the Skyline Club if you have a membership or if you know someone with a membership. Very exclusive. And Chef is the chef there, along with his buddies. So, with all that being said, I kind of don't know what song to play now. I don't think I'm going to play When Tom Gulley Shut Me Down. I think I'm going to play the new one, Tom Gulley's Wild Roundup. Some of your names may be in it. You may hear various shows we've done in the past. You're going to hear a lot about spiders, as always. As always. So I'm looking at that old clock on the wall and it says I've got an Amscray. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. So with all that being said, I think the only thing left to say is, till next time, we'll see you next time.
The clock's past 10. Tom Gulley's here. Let the podcast begin. Bigfoot, he's got a map, red string all around. It's not real, says she can't be found. It's a show about spiders, he says, going live. 8 legs, 8 eyes, he got another surprise. Did you see their webs? All the shapes, don't you know? Slater's here for the ride, for the spiders to show. He checks his notes, he knows the audience there. Says he's putting on a show that he just doesn't care. One man, late night, telling tales of things you didn't know and things that never fail. Tom Gulley's Roundup, it's a wild, wild show. Yeah, the whole punch gravy and the Smother Brothers show. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about Jesse James? We've been planning this from the start. This one's about spiders, the real shows for the yard. Yeah! Now spiders again, he's got a pick for the show. This one's a camel spider, just watch him go. He doesn't spin webs, he's a fraud, don't you know? But the Black Widow, man, now she's not so slow. Rumble trench coat on speaker, his voice like coffee and gin.
Tom, you missed last night's Columbo, man, it's a sin. Columbo caught a spider inside a net. It had a glass eye, so we kept it as a pet.
Tom leans in and whispers, I think he's right. That spider's not just a pet, it's the truth in the night. The coffee's cold, the comments pile high. Is the wolf about to call? Yeah, there's no reason why. Tom Gulley's Roundup, it's a wild, wild show. Yeah, the whole punch gravy and the Smother Brothers show. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cue. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about Jesse James? Tom, stop, you've been planning this from the start.
This one's about spiders, the real shows for the art.
Yeah! Now the clock hits the hour, the show's almost done. Tom's got one last thought, says this should be fun. What if we did a show about lava lamps too? Robert Redford, Bob Ross, just to name a few. Christian Slater groans.
Tom, you're losing it.
Tom grins.
Losing it, I'm just getting lit.
All the things out there hiding in plain sight, like cigar smoke and cobwebs furling through the night. Tom Gulley's roundup, it's a wild, wild show. Yeah, the whole punch gravy and the Smother Brothers show. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about Jesse James? Tom, stop. You've been planning this from the start. This one's about spiders, the real shows for the odd.
Yeah!
Yeah, it's Tom's roundup, man, here we go. Yeah, Gunsmoke, Jello, and Generation Jones. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about candy smoke? Tom, stop. You've been planning this from the start. This one's about spiders, the real shows for the odd.
Yeah!
Yeah, it's Tom's roundup, man, here we go. Yeah, Gunsmoke, Jello, and Generation Jones. He'll pause, break, say what's it to you before the drink sip and the musical cues. Someone calls in, the line crackles low. Tom, do you think you can do an episode about candy smoke? Tom, stop. You've been planning this from the start. This one's about spiders, the real shows for the odd.
Yeah!